Time now for my impressions when it comes to Skull and Bones, Guts and Glory, our faction war, our year 2 season 3, whatever you wish to call it. It's a little different than reviews, not really pros, cons, but there are, I guess you could say, things I like and I don't like about each season. And it's more of a casual conversation as I go over a few different things that pique my interest one way or the other. So without further ado, let's get started with my impressions of Guts and Glory, Faction War, Year 2, Season 3 of Skull and Bones. By the way, let me know your thoughts, views, and opinions about the current season below in the comments section. The main theme of this season is, of course, the Faction War, which was originally planned for last season. It got delayed, but it is available. The DMC versus the Company Royale, French versus Dutch. Basically, half the players taking on the other half in this faction war via the faction broker. And there's been some changes up here, and one of which is, of course, the new map. It looks okay. It's a little bit lighter than last season's map. Some people like it, some people don't. It shows cloud patterns. If this was true, this entire area would be covered in one big giant cloud. And by the way, it's very, very foggy up here at Ubisoft. Maybe a little too foggy in this area, so you might want to, I don't know, make it less foggy if you don't mind. But regarding the faction war, we'll start off with that. So this is the first, I guess, week of the war. You have the French basically in control up here in the northern East Indies, which includes Telloc, by the way. So hooray for the company. We're winning up here. But the DMC is winning down here in Africa. So looks like by the time, I guess, I don't know if this is going to last a week or not. We'll look in a minute. But these two territories are going to go even Steven. By the time it's over, it looks like the DMC is going to claim this territory. Meanwhile, the company is going to get that territory. So everything else that comes with it includes the seasonal journey. And these are challenges you can do, different missions you can accomplish that will give your character, your ship, some buffs. I managed to knock them all out. So if I can do it, then you can probably do it as well. There was a few that I had trouble registering. For example, Wolf's Hollow. This one I think was Wolf's Hollow, which has been the Mega Fort, been around since last season. I had to do it like 3 times before it finally counted for some reason. I don't know why, but that has happened a couple times with some of these. I really don't know what the issue is there, but yeah, you get little small buffs for each of these, and they do cost guild marks. So yeah, the guild marks are back, unlike previous season currencies that got shown the door. Yeah, they showed the guild marks the door, but then the guild marks came right back. So yeah, you spend your guild marks on these once you unlock them. Next, of course, is the faction war itself and everything involved in it. The battle period goes on for another 9 days. I feel like they should shorten that. It's pretty much over and done for these two territories. Are these the only two territories that we're going to fight over the next 9 days? The French have a 4.4 million point lead in war assets against the DMC, and the DMC is in lead down here by 4 million war assets. This one's pretty much done, so I don't know why it's going to be dragged on for a further 9 days. I think these should just be weekly. Of course, the problem with that is it potentially shortens the length of the faction war, because from my understanding, once a faction successfully captures a territory, the other side cannot get it back once, I guess, this period has concluded in 9 days from now. And yeah, you have to collect war assets from the enemy in the contested areas, like the 2 red areas. And then there are various rewards you can get. You can max out to 10 rewards. So these 10 are capped off. I guess the next 10 will become available at the second period when there's 2 other territories up to fight over between the company and the DMC. But yeah, for now, you're locked at 10 until the next period starts. And then, of course, there's also these rewards that are up for grabs. And I guess it's based off of how many territories each side claims. And since it looks like the French and the Dutch are each going to claim a territory and be 1v1, we're all going to get the ship emblem. This is the French ship emblem. I imagine the Dutch ship emblem looks rather similar. So I guess both sides will win something after the first period of the war concludes. And the grand prize, whoever wins the most territories after the faction war has finished, gets a unique outfit for their side. This is the company's faction outfit. There's also a version for the DMC. The losing side only ends up getting 5,000 pieces of 8. I do think that there should be an additional consolation prize for the losing side, but that's just my opinion. War Cargo was also added to the faction war. It's a 1v1 PvP mode where you can have one member of the French, one member of the Dutch go head-to-head in order to earn 400 war assets. There's also a war convoy you can do that's PvE against the Dutch if you're the French, or the French if you're the Dutch. And you have to stop the convoy in order to get additional war assets. There's also a PvE fort defense mode for the faction war where you have to defend an allied fort, whether it's for the DMC or the company, against waves and waves and waves of enemy ships. It's not a hard mode, but it can be very overwhelming because you end up with so many DMC ships or so many company ships coming at you, trying to destroy that fort. Even if you have the best weapons, you might want to consider going into these forts with at least 3 or more players in order to survive a fort defense in the faction war. Now let's talk about the Smuggler's Pass. I feel like this is one of the better Smuggler's Passes. All 3 of these outfits that you can get in the Smuggler's Pass are really good looking. So I think this is a W when it comes to the Smuggler's Pass for Skull and Bones. There's been some decent Smuggler's Passes. There's been some weak ones. This one is actually pretty good in my opinion. So I got that claimed. And then the level 45 additional milestone reward is going to be the blueprint for the Sloop of War, which I did try out in a separate video. And by the way, I think the Sloop of War is a very good ship. Poison-based, DPS, medium size. It's a very good looking ship as well. So I think this is also a W for the Season of Skull and Bones. An amazing ship in the Sloop of War. The Pinnacle store also returns from last season. So once you've completed the Smuggler's Pass and you've managed to get all of the rewards, like all these maxed out at 30 each, as well as everything else here, then you can spend additional Smuggler's Marks for the rest of the season on all this stuff, the various blueprints, along with the new Rot Moth Poison culverins. And there's also additional chests that you can get as well, such as Toolings and Materials chests. So at the end of the season, I was grinding this and getting as many of these chests as possible, but this is a good opportunity to get additional blueprints, more of the Rothmouth culverins, once you have successfully completed all these tiers of the Smuggler's Pass. We have the ability now to ascend the armor. So you have the ability to do that, which adds additional abilities and defenses to the armor of our ships. It's very similar to the weapon ascension. You have 3 different slots you can upgrade. They also added this little flame icon around the diamond whenever the particular perk has a really good number to it. Like, for example, with this armor, Craftsman Advance increase weapon amount of repair kits by 11.16%. That's obviously a really good number when it comes to this particular perk. But apparently it does cost a bit more to ascend weapons and armor now, and I think sometimes it might even cost you pieces of 8 as well. So it's definitely more pricey. However, they did do another thing that a lot of us like. Well, 2 things specifically. They upped the reforge attempt by 15. I had this Hellgate Serpent torpedo at 0, but now I have 15 more chances to, for example, re-roll this amplified flooding in order to improve it if I feel so inclined. Plus, you also have the ability to lock the mod in order to keep amplified flooding, but get a better number, a higher number than, for example, 28.6% for this, as well as other perks when it comes to ascended weapons and armor. They also added a deadly version of La Peste. He's pretty tough. I got killed a few times fighting him. Oh, fuck. La Peste is after me. Go away. Leave me alone. He's gonna get me. He's right behind me. Help. Riley, help me.
Huh?
Help me.
Run, Jimmy, run.
Help me. Here, have some torpedoes. No, I'm gonna die. I died. And if you happen to defeat the deadly version of La Peste, you get pieces of 8, La Peste locker, silver chest, guild marks, as well as this Clinging Curse green aura for your ship. However, they did nerf the dangerous version of La Peste. His gas attacks are a lot weaker now, and I really wish they would reconsider that and rebuff him maybe somewhere in the middle to where he was previously, because he's nowhere near as challenging to fight now as he was prior to the season, which I think is a major disappointment. Speaking of the Sea Lords like La Peste, the Hubert twins, as well as Lee, Vikram, and of course the sea creatures like the Listaris, the Tylosauruses, the dragons. There's a new way for you to summon these enemies to do battle against you. They no longer just appear on the map. What you have to do is you have to have, wait for it, flares. Yes. Ubisoft Singapore loves the flares from the various, I guess, seasonal events that they've introduced with the flares to now the rebellious signal, as well as the monstrous bait and the essence of spirits. So if you want to fight one of the sea lords or sea creatures, you better make sure you have flares, which of course can be purchased or picked up by sinking enemy ships from the sea lord vessels, like their allied ships, the Chorus fleet, or the Pestilence fleet, or Lee's Phoenix fleet, or Vikram's Shadow fleet. They will drop the flares for you to use in order to summon these various sea lords. But you also have to purchase flares to fight the sea creatures, and you have to also go over here to purchase a unique spirit flare in order to fight this ghost man over here along with his ghost clones. This is just my opinion, take it or leave it, but I feel like they're kind of overdoing it with the flares. And by the way, there's also missions tied to Guts and Glory Faction War. So I did those in a previous video, along with checking out the Sloop of War. Both those in my Skull and Bones playlist. And some things that are obviously missing from this season that were originally supposed to be part of this season, Guts and Glory, include the officers. I don't know where the officers are. I guess they're getting pushed back to the next season, hopefully. And another big thing that a lot of people have been wanting and asking about is the land combat. Still no word regarding land combat, which was also supposed to be introduced in this season of Skull and Bones. So both of those things being absent, especially the land combat, disappointing in my opinion. But because Ubisoft had to push back the faction war for a little bit more time in the oven, I guess that meant that they were also going to push some other stuff back to the next season, such as the officers as well as land combat. Hopefully both are still coming in Season 4, which I'm guessing is going to launch sometime in January of 2026. So we're going to have to wait a few months before we get officers, land combat, and hopefully the Kraken, along with the Corvette. But despite all that, I think that Guts and Glory Faction War is a really good season for Skull and Bones. It continues to up the bar and bring more people to the game, especially the veteran players that are in World Tier 2. Not really as much for World Tier 1 players to do, unfortunately, because of this season is mostly focused on World Tier 2. However, it encourages newer players to get through World Tier 1, the main stories with Skurlock, the Admiral, as well as the Sea Lords, and get their ship upgraded enough to go up into World Tier 1 as a Kingpin. It, I think, is a positive overall because it just gives a newer player incentives. It's like, hey, I got stuff to do in World Tier 1. But once I'm done with World Tier 1, I can ascend and go up to World Tier 2 and experience a whole new world of Skull and Bones. So I think that's actually a good thing. Some people might disagree with that, but we're all welcome to agree to disagree as long as we're civil about it. But for the most part, yeah, it does benefit World Tier 2 players over World Tier 1. But like I said, World Tier 1 is, I think, mainly meant for newer players. And if somebody like me can survive in World Tier 2, a filthy casual, not exactly the best at PvP or the best player, if I can make it in World Tier 2, then most of you can as well. And I highly encourage you to do what you got to do in World Tier 1 in order to get into World Tier 2, in order to experience everything that's going on in World Tier 2, including the faction war. Plus, coming up in, a day or two from now, we have the Halloween event returning, which I am very, very excited about. I enjoyed it last season. The return of the Roving Lost time-limited event, that's coming, along with later on the Azure event will be here in December, and some other stuff between now and then throughout the faction war, as well as Guts and Glory. But yeah, the Halloween event is, probably a day away from officially launching, haunting the seas of Skull and Bones. So yeah, I think this is a very good season, even though there are some things that are missing, like land combat, as well as the officers. And yeah, that's something a lot of people have been asking about, but I guess we're just going to have to be patient and hope that land combat and the officers and the Kraken will be worth the wait when it comes to Year 2, Season 4 in a few months from now. That's pretty much my impressions of Guts and Glory, Faction War, Year 2, Season 3 of Skull and Bones. Now I want to know what you think about this season, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and what you're looking forward to throughout the rest of the season. And who do you think is going to ultimately win the faction war? The company or the DMC? Your thoughts, views, and opinions, welcome, as always, below in the comment section.